What's up, Nakamas? Welcome back to the channel. And for today, we're gonna have a very quick deck on my Katakuri list. And we're gonna play some games off of the simulator. So this list didn't get any updates from OP-07, but this is something that I play, especially in events in Metaverse and other casual events here in Japan. The playstyle is very fast for Katakuri, so if I just want to play some quick games, this is the deck that I usually play with. But overall, I think it's still a pretty good deck, so I would like to share with you guys my list. So Katakuri is not a new leader, but for the sake of refresher, is a yellow leader monocolor, so with 5 life and 5k attack. When we attach 1 Dawn and during attack, we can opt to look at our life or our opponent's top life. Then we can decide if we put that on top or at the bottom of the life pile. And after that, Katakuri gains plus 1000. So I think it's a pretty awesome ability. So we'll get to predict our opponent's next move somehow with the life, and I think that's pretty cool because that's very representative of the observation haki that Katakuri has in the anime. Anyways, let's just get rid of the Dons here. So 4 copies of our searcher, Charlotte Pudding, so she can dig for a Sanji or a Big Mom Pirate. So I will not spend a lot of time discussing the cards. I'll just flash the English versions of the cards in the screen anyways, and I will add a list of this deck list in the description below so that you can import it to the simulator if you're using the simulator. So 4 copies of Charlotte Flampe. This is the latest update from EB-01. Of course, we didn't get any updates from OP-07, a 2k counter, and the on-play effect that we can get our top or bottom life, and then we get to draw a card. I'm running 2 copies of Shura. It's because I'm running a lot of Sky Island events. Also has a pretty nice trigger wherein we can play this for free. Next, 4 copies of Charlotte Perospero. So 3 cost 5k here, and has an on-KO ability wherein we can get to look at the top 3 cards of our library and we'll draw 1 Big Mom Pirate from those 3 cards. 4 copies of Capone Bege, very good card, 2k counter. We don't cast this card usually. It's there for the 2k counter and the very cool trigger. This has a very unique trigger and a very strong trigger, one of the strongest in the game in my opinion. Next, I'm running 3 copies of Charlotte Cracker. This card allows us to get back in the game in games that we are behind. Next, we are running 4 copies of Kikunojo. Very strong card. Doesn't have a counter, but it's a 4 cost 6k attack. Has an on-KO ability wherein if our opponent has 3 or less life, we can get to put the top card of our deck into our life. It has a trigger that when our opponent has 3 or less life, we can get to play this for free. I'm only running 3 copies of Gedatsu, 5 cost 6k and has a 1k counter. And it has an on-play effect wherein we can get to KO an opponent's character with a cost equal to or less than the life of our opponent. 4 copies of Satori. This is a Sky Island. We can get this off of Shura. Usually, it's just there for a 2k counter and a free body off of the trigger. And for our end game, we are running a full playset of the 7 cost Big Mom Charlotte Linlin. This has an 8k body, and on play, we'll let our opponent choose if we get a life or our opponent crashes a life. Then a full playset of 10 cost Big Mom, 12k body. Doesn't have a counter though, but on play effect of this card is really good. So on play, if our leader is a Big Mom Pirate, so we put the top card of our library into our life and our opponent crashes his or her top life. 4 copies of the 200 million volts Amaru. The main ability for this is that if we have 1 or less life, we can give our leader or a character we own plus 3000 power. And if our life is 1 or less, we can get to rest a character with a cost 4 or less from our opponent. Then 3 copies of You're the One Who Should Disappear. Overall, a really good card. Also has a pretty cool trigger. We get to add the top card of our library into our life, and we need to discard a card. Last but not the least, I'm running 3 copies of Reject. I think this is Impact in English. This card will be banned starting April 1. Since it's still usable, I'm gonna use this card until it gets banned. This is a pretty good card. Or if our opponent has exactly 1 life, we can deal 1 damage and we take 1 damage also. So that's it for my deck list. And since this doesn't have any OP07 cards, we can feature this deck in the simulator. So let's see this deck in action. Okay, this is our first game. So against Perona, which is really nice. We mulliganed here. I think Perona is one of the heroes that I can see that is really well played. Perona with the tap ability here, getting rid of our Purin. So we played a Purin, we get a Perospero previous turn. So at this point, we can just go aggro here. So the 2 million volts, I'd like that to be at the bottom. It can save us from a lot of situations. And with our remaining Dawn here, we drop a Perospero, but again, Perona with the tap ability here, attacking our Perospero, and we saved it with our Flampe. So I opted to save that just to put more pressure, and in case that this BB5 will be tapped, but our opponent dropped a Porcelina here. So we are currently at 6 Dawn. We're still gonna attack, force the Borsalino to tap. Then, yep, that's a Perospero on top. Then get a Sky Island here. At least we got a 2k counter and we drop another Perospero at this point. Our opponent will tap our Shura and getting rid of it. So for 6k here, we know our top card, so we can just take and drop our Perospero. So we have 3. So our opponent dropped another blocker and we drew a Big Mom at this point. So we can just go aggressive here. Our opponent has 4 life, but we still opted to leave that Kikunojo there on top. We have 3 more attackers. Hopefully our opponent will take some damage so that we can play that Kikunojo later on for free. Okay, at this point we are just getting rid of blockers and cards from our opponent's hand, and our opponent took that. We can drop a Big Mom. So we don't know what our top card is, but the second card, we know that it's a Kikunojo. So we took that. At this point, I have a 10 drop Big Mom in my hand, so I just opted for the 2k counter there. So let's save this for now. Hope our force our opponent to attack if they want to get rid of our Perospero. So opponent is thinking here. Our next play would, we can drop a 10 drop Big Mom, or go aggressive and drop a 7 drop Big Mom next turn anyways. So let's save our Perospero. At this point, our opponent dropped 2 blockers off of Gecko Moria, so let's just get rid of these because they can get pretty annoying in the later part. So let's attack for 8k here. Force our opponent to block that. with the Rocinante. By doing this, at least we still have some dons to drop 7 cost Big Mom. So on KO effect, kills our Perospero, and unfortunately we won't get to draw anything. So let's just attack the Borsalino, getting rid of all the blockers. But our opponent opts to save it, and we drop another Big Mom here, 7 cost Big Mom, and we are okay, very okay with that turn. We reduced the hand of our opponent, so killing our last Perospero here. Very lucky to have another Linlin. So we get this 7 cost Big Mom, and we can have another aggressive turn and dropping a 7 cost Big Mom, or we can drop a 10 drop Big Mom. For the next game, we were against Katakuri, and opponent opted to play second, but we had puddings in our hands, so it was a very okay first turn for us. So here on our third turn, we can drop a Perospero, but that's what I wanted here. Although we can also opt for some puddings there, but I thought that being aggressive against mirror is better. So up to this point, I just saved our leader here, and we can drop this Gedatsu. So we don't like that banish ability from Nami. So Nami is really pretty strong, and I am not running Nami anymore in my list. Previously, I was running some Namis. So opponent cast Soul Focus here. Of course, we are giving our opponent some life. So pretty much getting aggressive here. We took 2 life from our opponent there, and our opponent gave us a life off of our 7 drop Linlin. So at this point, we are so ahead of life, but we can still save that, save our Gedatsu, and we're in the position to crash a life there. So we can get a 7 drop Big Mom of a pudding, and first attack, and we want that Bege to be on the bottom. At this point, I'll just get rid of attackers. I'm okay with our opponent drawing cards and drop another 7 cost Linlin, and we gained another life of that. So we don't have any counters up to this point, but we have an army of 7 cost Big Moms, so I was okay with taking a lot of lives here. We drew another Linlin. Very nice. So we attack for 8k here. Look at our opponent's top card. We move that to the bottom and attack for a lot here. And we have 4 life, so our opponent cannot activate that Kikunojo. At this point, as long as we survive with at least 2 Big Moms, I guess we should be okay. So on this first attack, I wanted to save this, but we have a pretty bad hand here, so I opted to still save it. And we take that. We don't have any cards left, but as long as we survive with 1 or 2 attackers, we should be okay. We're taking that. And however, our opponent dropped 2 blockers here, 2 timely Bruleys. So let's attack here. Just get rid of some blockers. So we want that Big Mom to stay on top. Let's just get aggressive here with the Purins. Purins are attacking. So I opted to leave my 7 cost Big Mom here because there's no way for me to defend her. So I just opted not to attack. So hoping to survive one turn here with some attackers. So we are taking that 10 drop Big Mom. Taking that again. So an additional attacker would be best here. But I was thinking to not use this cracker. So I opted to not trigger this. And at this point, I took this and this 200 million volts Amaru. I opted to use the trigger here. And to move us to 2 life. At this point, our opponent can either attack us, but we'll leave him open. So we won this game. For the third game, this is against Yamato. So this is a pretty bad hand against Yamato. No blockers, so we mulliganed. And this is better, and we drew another 2k counter. So I'm very happy with that top deck. Now we have a 6k counter in our hand, which is okay to survive that initial 8k attack by Yamato. But our opponent didn't opt for that, and we can just use 1 counter. So we can opt for Kikunojo here, but I opted to stay aggressive. So now we have a Perospero on top, attack for 7k. That way we can just go for a Purin turn. So get a cracker here, pass the turn. So 7k for opponent here, we can just block with Flampe and another 1k counter. So with 6 Dawn, there's a lot of things that we can do actually. So we just attack here for 7, for 8. So attacking for 7 is like a very aggressive for Katakuri, and with just attaching 1 Dawn, we can attack for 7. It's like a break point. So at this point, we can just take that. We know that the Perospero on top. And at this point, this is very critical, but I still opted to use the 200 million volts Amaru here. We only have a Big Mom in our hand. We will have 8 Dawn the next turn. So I was okay with this play since we also have a pretty decent board presence up to this point. So yep, we take this and drop a Kikunojo for an additional board presence. And at this point, it was pretty cool. Just attack, try to get some counters off of our opponent's hand here. So our opponent took that, and now we can drop the 7 cost Big Mom. Since our opponent is only 1 life, there's definitely no chance that our opponent will trash their life here. So attacking again for 7. Again, 7 is a very good number. Our opponent has a Kikunojo there. And I think I put that Kikunojo on the bottom. So that's basically a waste of my Katakuri ability there. So at this point, there's no way for me to kill our opponent with that many cards in hand. So I'll just opted to try to kill this attacker, this Holly from our opponent. And we got rid of a blocker, so that's pretty nice. So at this point, we are at 4 life, although we don't have any counters in our hand. So we can just get rid of that. We can take this 10 cost Big Mom to get rid of that last life from our opponent. And with Big Mom, so I'm okay with our opponent getting rid of our Kikunojos. 2 Kikunojos here, giving us 2 life. And up to this point, we do have a Big Mom, so I'm happy with that. So we can just take 2 here and drop another attacker with Satori off of that life trigger from the double attack. So our opponent dropped a blocker, and up to this point we should be okay. We get rid of that last life. We can attack for 5k, then attack with Satori, and then for the last part we can attack with an 8k Big Mom. See if our opponent survives. Even if our opponent survives here, we're still at a good point in the game. We have so many life at this point. Attack for the win. Pretty cool. Wow, that's it for the gameplay. We actually played 4 consecutive games and we won 4 consecutive games. However, I got matched up with 2 Yamatos, and featuring all those 4 games would make the video very long, as it already is. So I play aggressively with this deck. I may have some misplays along the way. Feel free to share your deck list, and what are we gonna do after Reject gets banned? If you're still watching up to this point, then you're not just a nakama, but a super nakama, and I'm very thankful for you. Thank you very much for the continued support, and that's it for this video. If you're not yet subscribed, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and you will be notified for my future One Piece videos. See you in the next video.